And record. Is that okay with everybody?
Sure.
So can you say that again? We're watching The Great Illusion. And what was that line you just said that I,
Well, the first thing that came to me after listening to that was that Sid saying that the soul is pure consciousness. And I don't know, that just touched me in some way. Because you're looking for that higher conscious level of consciousness, and that's where it's coming from, according to what he just said, is from your soul. So that's what I
yeah, that really, for me, what you just said fits with getting the feeling
Mhm.
because people have different meanings for what the word consciousness means. And he said, don't listen to the words, get the feeling.
Right, and it's the same with soul. Like some people have different, ideas of what a soul, who somebody's soul is too, right? And so,
Right,
um,
right.
yeah, yeah, it is a feeling. Or he also
Yeah,
called it, the mystics calling it going home.
yeah,
So I thought was interesting.
yeah, yeah.
I wasn't sure what he was referring to. At one point, I think he said he was saying people would hike up the Himalayas and go all over the world. Did he say something like you take yourself with you or you take your thoughts with you? Like, because I can relate to that, like thinking that it, like changing your environment or your surroundings or whatever will make you feel differently from how you're feeling in that moment. And so that kind of stood out to me, like, no matter where you are, you're still taking like your current mind, like whatever you're thinking, your headspace that you're in is coming with you. So that was
Right.
interesting.
Apparently, there's a book called Wherever You Go, There You Are. Something to that effect, just like what you were describing. Wherever we go, there you are. It's not out there. It's happening inside
Mm-hmm.
our state of mind, how we feel, our experience. We're not getting it from the mountains in the Himalayas, or yeah, you can't get it from anywhere. You know that story about, it's like an old fable, a mystical fable about the young man who goes to a guru and says, I want to be enlightened. And the guru it says, where do I find enlightenment? Something to that effect. And the guru says it's in a tree on the top of whatever mountain he tells him to go to. And there's like a lot of trees. The student goes and sees all these trees and he starts looking inside the trees, like digging into them. Like, is there some treasure? What am I looking for? He doesn't even know what he's looking for. Actually, I messed it up. I think it has something to do with finding the flute in the tree. I don't know. There's a lot of different versions of this. Anyway, he finally comes back to the guru and he realizes that it's what we're looking for is inside of everything. That's my rendition, which I really messed up very badly. I think it's in the beginning of Jack Pransky's book. Somebody should have told us. Don't quote me on that either, but you get the general picture. You already know this, or you wouldn't be here. And we forget. We forget. We go looking for relief in all sorts of ways. Of course, but it's wisdom that guides you to get relief, whether it be going to urgent care because you got a bee sting or going, it's wisdom that's informing you to take care of yourself. What's landing for Elaine or Janine?
So this just helps me to recognize that when your thoughts start to overtake you, you can actually, when you're saying the whole idea about, going home and the soul to consciousness is, actually feeling that consciousness, it's there, and being able to listen to it and value what your consciousness is doing for you, rather than, going with the thought and accepting the thought.
Yeah. Yeah. That speaks to how I see it, Elaine, too. Yeah. To me, pure consciousness, like when he says uncontaminated by thought. The minute we start thinking, we're making the attempt is to make sense of what's going on here. It's how it looks to me. And look at how, people make sense of what's going on here in such different ways. Being at the start of a new election really illustrates that, like to the nth degree. Yeah. Listening to the news about wars illustrates that to the nth degree, where each individual is making sense of what's going on here through their ability to think. And it looks real. Whatever they think looks real to them. That's why being in a state of not knowing, that's home. That's home base. That's, to me, going back home. Like, it appears to me, XYZ, appears to me like, oh my gosh, wouldn't it be wonderful to have a Black Indian female president? Wow. That would be news across the globe. And it looks entirely different. Like there are people totally freaked out by that thought. Like the end of the world thinking. Fascinating. Fascinating. I have a friend who calls it learning. That we're constantly learning. Not realizing it. I used to think learning is when I'm in school and I'm taking notes and I'm listening to a teacher. But I would space out a lot when I was in school, and whatever I was spacing out about, I was learning that. Or I was learning that when I would think about, I'm bad, I'm a bad student, I'm spacing out, I should be paying attention. I was learning that. Isn't that interesting? And so much of that inaccurate learning sticks with us until we realize, oh, wow, that was stupid learning. I don't have to buy into that anymore. I don't have to believe that. That was nonsense. It reminds me of a story in The Secret of Love, how there was this fellow who he thought his father didn't love him because his father would never help him with homework. Well, later in his life, like I think he was 30 something, when he found out that his father was totally embarrassed about not being able to read. That's why he didn't help him with his homework. He didn't want to let the son know that he was illiterate. Janine's going to love that story.
I remember reading that.
Yeah, right? I
Mhm.
mean, how beautiful to realize that there is absolutely nothing, no thing to be ashamed of.
Mm.
Boy, if I've been ashamed of stuff, that I said, did in my past out of innocence, innocence / ignorance. I didn't know any better. That's true for everybody. We can't do any better until we know better, until we learn better, until we learn where our learning was off. That's the way it looks to me right now, in this moment. Yeah, coming home. Dick Bettinger with Natasha Swerdloff. They wrote a book called Coming Home. Yeah. Yeah, their rendition of what we're talking about. Makes me want to read that book again. I've got a plane ride coming up. Maybe I'll bring it with me. Yeah. What else? I mean, we can talk about what's going on in life, and we'll see it with fresh eyes.
Well, I'll interject for a minute as far as what's going on with life.
Right. Right.
And wisdom. The company that I'm with is being kind of like taken over by another company. So there's a lot of change going on, and there's a lot of training going on this week. So I am the one that's holding down the fort. So I'm like taking, I'm doing the job of several people who are not in the office because they're in training, and I'm, at home taking care of business, right, for everybody that's not there. And I turned off my phone because I get a lot of calls from doctor's offices, but also from home health aides that are out in the field that need orientations, and just, I just using my wisdom that what I need right now is, and this is going on for the whole week, what I need right now and for the rest of the week, is to take care of myself and to try to get to and continue having a higher level of consciousness while I'm dealing with this extra load that I'm now taking on. And when I got onto the Zoom call, and I like to try to get myself a little bit calmer before I get on to that call, I was concerned. I was concerned that, what if somebody calls me, or what if this happens? And I just like totally, just separated myself to, this is where I need to be. And if I can't be here, I'm not going to be any good there, and to take care of all these other things that are going to go on. So, I guess I just, put that out there because, it's wisdom of, taking care of myself. And I'm trying to do that on a more regular basis. And sometimes it's just minute by minute, sometimes it's day by day. But for right now, it's, what's happening in my life, in my work life, that I so desperately need to be here right now.
That's so, isn't that wonderful? You're in charge of holding down the fort. How does that feel to you, Mayor?
So it feels like originally when I heard that, I'd be doing the jobs of several different people, like I got a call saying this person wants to talk to a supervisor and it's being sent to me and I'm not a supervisor. Hello, I'm not a supervisor. But my initial thought, unfortunately, was, a little freaked out, like, really? But then I was emailing my manager and I was just letting her know what's going on. And it's like, yeah, I'm just doing what I'm doing to do what I need to do, basically, those are the words I think I used. So it's a good thing I have a sense of humor. Because I just kind of like, I don't laugh at myself, but like, it's like, I guess more like be happy with myself. And I call it my sense of humor because, it's better than having a sense of doom, or a sense of, anxiety of, everything that could possibly go wrong. And so I just, I'm looking at it from the work will get done. Might not get done today, but it'll get done. And, what doesn't get done, I'm just kind of, it needs to be taken care of. I need to take care of me. So that's how I'm looking at it. Instead of looking at it from oh my God, this is a stressful situation and, all sorts of negativity, because that would get me nowhere fast.
Right.
Mhm.
I don't know about you, but I didn't know that in my past. I think you shared that you didn't know that either. I mean, right? I think everybody on the call didn't know that either in their past. What a remarkable thing to know that we have access to common sense and wisdom when we're not freaking ourselves out. And of course, we freak ourselves out, and then we realize, oh, that doesn't feel good. That's letting me know, settle down. Go home. Go home inside here
Mhm.
where we've got access to wisdom, common sense, putting one foot in front of the other. And you know what? You may not technically be called their supervisor, but when I heard you say that, Miriam, the thought crossed my mind, like, I wonder if that person hung up thinking, that's the best supervisor I've had.
Well, that person wasn't happy, let's put it that way, so. I did the best I could under the circumstances.
Mhm.
Right, right, right. What a relief to know that all we can do is the best we can do, and we're not going to be the best if we're paying attention to the disgruntled employee. We want to pay attention as far as how can we help them out.
Right.
But if our mind starts going into, a lot of nerve, they got a lot of nerve, how dare they, what do they expect of me, this is too much. If we're doing that, we're missing the quiet listening, because then you may not have the answer, but the person hears, picks up that you're with them. You've connected with them.
Yes.
It's really interesting. I was on a call a couple of hours before this with a young husband. I think he's probably in his late 30s to mid 40s, somewhere in there. I don't remember the exact. And I'm meeting with the two of them separately. They came to me for couples, but because they're shown, they're really butting heads over money, right? Isn't that like something people butt heads over because they have such different perspectives? They have such different perspectives. So I asked him, I said, who in your past would you say listened to you best? And he thinks for a little while and he comes up with his sister. I said, wow, that's really wonderful. What was it about her listening that you felt so heard? Like you really felt like she got you. And he told a story about how he was wanting to get promoted in his position, and she listened, and he really got from her that she had been through the same thing. He got her empathy. He got a feeling of connecting with somebody who knew what he was going through. Now, you don't have to be in the same situation. They had different jobs, they had different careers, but you know what it's like to be in a difficult place. And when we really listen, that's what we hear. We hear what the speaker is going through, not what we imagine they're going through, not what we think they're going through, not to fix them, not to give them a suggestion or help them, just be with them, and then they find their answers themselves. Because they know, they're going to know the answer better than we can. We don't live their life. We're not in their job. We don't have their manager, their boss. They know the answer, but the answer and the problem, the solution, it comes in a quiet mind, comes from, and I see Elaine, you're shaking your head. How do you know that? How do you know that?
Because I come from the background of having to solve people's problems. And I've come to realize, through my own wisdom, that I can't solve people's problems. I'm not the fixer. What I'm doing is only guiding and listening. And my listening has improved so much so that they are coming up with their own answers rather than, having to suggest.
Can you give an example? Keeping people anonymous, like you would not know my example. You wouldn't know who the people involved.
Yeah, let me think of an example. So an older gentleman that I was working with today came to see me because of anxiety and relationship problems. And, the request was, well, how do I have a healthy relationship? And he's an older man. He's 75 years old. And I'm like, well, you're 75 years old. What's your wisdom telling you? So rather than saying, this idea or that idea about how to have a healthy relationship, I'm encouraging him to look at his own wisdom as far as what he thinks a healthy relationship should be and what it looks like.
Yeah. What a difference. What did he say? I'm curious. I'd love to.
So he's in a new relationship. He just started a new one, and he is coming to his recognition that this woman is not demanding and she's not judgmental. And his last relationship, which he was in for 17 years, and the woman just got up and left. She just packed her bags and left after 17 years, refused to talk to him, refused to explain what happened and why she needed to leave. And so he's come to the realization that it had nothing to do with him. He thought that he was to blame, like he did something wrong. Because he's 75, he had back issues. He wasn't as motivated. He didn't have as much energy. And, she started to blame him because he was not as able-bodied. She couldn't wait. And, he realized it had nothing to do with him. Whatever reason why she left is not because of him. And he said that, he recognizes how emotional and unstable women can be and how sensitive they are. And like after all the years of being with, he was married and then he had this relationship. And I just started to laugh, like, yeah, women can be emotional. We're hormonal and we can be sensitive. However, all of us, women or men, have to come to terms with. He would talk about how he would say something jokingly and the woman would remember what he said and hold it. Like it would be a grudge for years. And I just started laughing because of my own experiences. And yeah, things have been said, but if you come to the recognition that it's not about you, what they're saying to you is not because of you or you doing anything wrong. It's just their way of trying to navigate something. So we had a really good laugh with that.
Yeah. Isn't that great? I love that story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Women
Yeah.
are men.
Yeah.
It, it's misunderstanding because all they know is their
Yes.
own thinking. How cool
Yes.
is that? Right?
Yes. Right.
And as people wake up to the fact that their thinking is X degree inaccurate. None of us are the perfect thinker.
Yeah.
There's no human that knows exactly what's going on here,
Mhm.
but a lot of people think they do. Yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, beautiful that that he saw that it wasn't
Mhm.
about him, it was the way she was thinking about things, and it wasn't true love.
Mhm.
A lot of
Yeah.
people stay, in long relationships for all sorts of reasons, whether it be financial or, need companionship. But if there was truly love, true caring, she'd be there for him. And I mean, Mary's been through, taking her husband to the hospital, and you're just there for the person. Elaine. Oh my
Mhm.
gosh, you
Mhm.
know.
Yep. Mhm.
And it's not
Yes.
putting, and it doesn't, right? And it's not putting up with, it comes from understanding and compassion and empathy and love.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's why, we call it understanding. It's an
Mhm.
understanding. What else can we call it? It's not a technique. It's not
Nope.
a doing. It's an understanding.
Mhm.
How we operate, how we work. Yeah. Janine, you're back with us.
Hi everyone.
Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you also. I'm sorry, I just had a lump in my throat, so I didn't realize my microphone was not shut off. So
Oh,
you heard me
I
making all
heard
weird
like a
sounds.
mic drop. That was you, yeah.
Mm.
So you're back after a week now, after the UK conference. Yeah.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah, two
That's
now. Yeah. Yeah.
Are you seeing different? Well,
I am. It's not, it's very subtle. I can't really put my finger on it yet. There's no big insights or something like that yet. Maybe there's still to come. But what's been good is just because I think last time I told you that I spoke to Dickon in the flesh, which I had never met him live, uh, not physically, right, in the same room, but only online. And when I spoke with him, he was so warm and genuine, and true. It just was palpable. And when somebody communicates with you from that state of mind or from that state of being, it just feels, you feel so acknowledged in who you are as a human being. That was really great. So that stands out. And then all the sessions were recorded. So there were sessions on the main stage, but also on Monday and Tuesday, there was a time slot where there were several speakers, and you could choose. There were breakout rooms, but all those sessions were recorded as well. So at the moment, you had to make a choice, pick one of the speakers, and go to that meeting, but you would miss out on other ones. So what I've been doing these last 2 weeks is listening to all the recordings that I hadn't heard yet. And one of them, there's some really great material here. And maybe it's some, I spoke to Wendy about it already. Maybe we could use those recordings to listen to in this meeting. Because one of them,
Yeah.
I'm not sure who it was exactly again, but they talked about making, because we were just talking about going home and then really connecting to the feeling of being at home, and use that as a sort of your guide through life. And there were two speakers, two women, and I'm sorry, I can't recall their name right now, but they talked about making a radical decision to connect to that feeling. And so what Elaine was just saying, or sorry, what Mary was saying, like, I'm very busy. I have to take care of other people's business for a bit. My job is also really busy. There's this big pile on my plate. And it's very easy for me to get caught up in I should do this, I have to take care of that, or I have to do that, or oh, I should call that one, or and it can feel very overwhelming because it's really a lot, a lot. I have a lot of volunteers and a lot of people that come from for help. So when I listen to the audio of or the video of making a commitment to really be conscious of being in that feeling, I thought, oh, that might be interesting. So I'm trying to do that. You can't really try and do because it's just there. So maybe a better way to put it would be to try and see thought for what it really is and just let go of it. There's nothing to
Yeah.
do, there's nowhere to go. And one
I-
moment in a day, I'm really, this really works out fine. And other moments I totally forget and get totally caught up in what I'm about, what I have to do. But it's been
Yeah.
really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. That really, you know, I could see what I've been going through in the past week because I'm getting on a plane on Friday in Boston. Julia will get a kick out of this. I don't think I've ever flown out of Logan. You know, I'm really a Hartford, you know, I like small airports. And, you know, the parking with the cyber attack. So all these things, there were like all these pegs and holes. And I could feel when I, like Janine was describing, when I'm like up in my head, like I got to do this, I got to take care of that, I got to do this, got to take. It comes with a feeling when we're overthinking, right? We know it. It's that feeling of anxiety and oh, am I going to be able to do it all? And then that feeling is like a love letter letting me know that, oh, the only thing I have to do right now is settle down and remember that it's just put one foot in front of the other. And I kind of get off on prioritizing. It's kind of like a game. Like, okay, just stick with with what's most important. Like, what do you really have to do before you board that plane? You'll be back in 5, 6 days. You'll take care of the other stuff. Is watering my plants so they don't die? That's up there. That's a priority. But there's other things like I don't have to pay attention to what's lighting up on my car because that's just letting me know that it's something I should pay attention to sometime in the next month. It's not an immediate. And so to me, that's a feeling of home. Like I'm dancing rather than jerking. It's not a herky jerky. It's more of a flow. What's next? Take care of that. And then it feels like beautiful, like every little accomplishment. Okay, that's taken care of. I've got lists. I'll show you next time. It's really kind of funny. And I love the checking it off. Just to me, life is a game. It's a game. And we all find out how to play the game in the easiest way for us if we are looking in that direction to make it easy.
Also,
I
I
don't
can also get very caught up in making those lists, like, oh, I gotta remember this, or not forget that, or this is important to you, that. And then I have this huge list. This is overwhelming, right? You so it's also knowing that what's important will come to you. You don't have to worry about it. It will occur to you. And so these last 2 weeks, it's been easier for me to just let go of that. There are lists here and there, or little bits like, I really have to do that. So I do get triggered in old patterns and behaviors.
Yeah.
But it's fun to just really let go and just be in the moment and try to trust that what's important, what I really have to do will occur. And if
Yeah.
I have the courage to follow that, life becomes way more easy. I'm really good at making things really difficult. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I love that, Janine, because it brought me to realizing that my list comes out of what comes to me.
Mm. Yeah.
Something comes to me out of the blue. Oh yeah, gotta take
Yeah,
care of
yeah,
that on the list. So I don't have to angst about it because it's
yeah.
nothing I could do today. It's 9 o'clock at night, on the list.
Janine, I just wanted to say that you look and sound very peaceful. From the first moment that you came on, that I saw you come on today, I looked at you and said, wow, she looks very calm and very peaceful. And after listening to you, I have to concur that you sound very peaceful as well.
Thank you.
So there's nothing going on there.
Yeah, I've just been eating pasta, so maybe this is after pasta that I'm it's all the carbs. Yeah, no, but yeah, that's good to hear. Yeah, and what's also been great, I find it very difficult to explain to people in my environment what the three principles are about because I'm from the Netherlands, and so I don't really know many people that are familiar with them. And I did go to London, so people knew, like colleagues or friends or family members knew I was going to London. So they would ask me, what are you going to do there? Are you going to visit all the sites? And I said, no, I'm going to visit a conference. And they were like, you're on holiday going to a conference? Yeah. I said, but is that for work? Is that a work thing or a private thing? Well, I say it's a bit of both because what it's about, I can use in my private life and also in my work life. and so they got curious. So what is that about? And I said, well, yeah, well, it's a bit difficult to explain. It's the three principles, and they sort of describe how we people create an experience of our life, and no, blah 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 blah. And then now I'm back. They asked me, oh yeah, you went to London, right? Well, what was that like? And so I've been in conversations about this, which is unusual. I know, and the fun thing is, people look at me a bit puzzled, but they are intrigued, which is fun. And last week, so I work in a library, and I work with low literate people. And so I matched them to volunteers. And so I sort of manage those volunteers, both the participants and volunteers. And to educate my volunteers, I sometimes, every month, there's a sort of workshop. And last week, there was another workshop for my volunteers, and there were a couple of them who came. And we spoke about, I'm not sure what the English name is, but we did an intervision meeting. Somebody can come up with a problem, what they perceive as a problem, and then this is a method to solve problems. And so we were doing that thing, and we got into a great conversation where I had the opportunity to explain to them, well, you can look at it this way, but you can also look at it this way, and to guide them towards the three principles and explain how whatever is happening to you can never really touch your problem, or touch the essence of who you are. Yeah. Many, so we work with two groups. One are native speakers who have difficulty with reading, writing, math, and digital skills, but also with newcomers, so second language learners who come from different countries, like Syria or Eritrea. And so these people have very different thinking about time. In the Netherlands, if you have an appointment at 4 o'clock, you really are there at 4. At 4. And if you're 5 minutes late, you send a text message explaining why you're 5 minutes late. People really expect you to be exactly on time. And it's very an I culture, very much an I culture. Whereas the people we work with from that group are very much from a we culture. There's completely different thinking about social structures or time. And so every week, a couple of them call me, yeah, my participant is late again. And I'm not sure if they're really motivated. They always complain about that. So the problem one of the volunteers brought in last week was also about that. So it was really fun to explain, oh yeah, and she even tell time. Or they are the Dutch society is pretty flat. We try to, with the hierarchy is there, but to a very different degree of, let's say, people from Eritrea or Syria. If the dentist says you have to come Friday at 2 o'clock, they perceive that as I have to be there. And of course, Dutch people do as well. But if I know I have to be in class, I will tell the dentist, oh, Friday 2 p.m. Well, that's not very convenient. Can we do another time, please? And then you make another appointment. But the people we work with, they don't know how to do that because they perceive it as you don't say that to a dentist because the dentist is up, has a different status. They don't want to be rude. They don't have, they say, yes, I will come, and then they don't because you don't want to lose face. Or they literally do not have the words to explain to them why they can't make a certain appointment. And that also happens with my volunteers. Or suddenly one of the family members will visit them, so they can't meet my volunteer. And then the volunteer is waiting in the library, getting upset because the participant is not showing up. And then if that happens a couple of times, they get really pissed. And then they call me like, rah. Yeah. So it was interesting to have a conversation about, so there's an alarm going off. So, and it was interesting to have a conversation about what if it's not what they're doing or saying, but your perception of it, how you're thinking
Yes.
about it.
Yes. That's it. That's what creates cultures
Mhm.
among small groups,
Mhm.
among nations, among,
Yeah.
yeah. Fascinating, isn't it?
Mhm.
Like group thing.
Mm.
And people live their life accordingly as though that's the absolute truth.
Yeah.
Fascinating. And speaking of time, it's 1 o'clock and I actually have somebody in my waiting room to admit. So I'm going to stop so it won't continue to